The intro. You can be the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson here today, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining. We are excited about this. It's growing. We were planning on doing the first one for about 10 or 15 minutes, and about 45 minutes later, we were like, wow, that was kind of cool. It worked out as people were learning a little bit about what we do. We are really the only true on-demand clothing manufacturer in the world. We look for a tech pack and digitized patterns. We get a garment set up for a brand or a label. And once it's in our system, the brand can turn and order that product after they sell it. And that's the key point. Sell that garment through their brick and mortar, their website, the county fair, wherever they happen to be selling their product, turn and place the order with us. And during typical times, COVID has a little asterisk because some things we're doing to help out with PPEs. But during typical times when that order is received, we manufacture and ship that garment straight to their client typically within 3 to 5 business days. 72 hours is the objective. So our whole mantra really is sell one, make one, ship one, and repeat, and do it as often as you can. I'm actually at the plant today here in Florence, Alabama, which is just a couple hours southwest of Nashville. So we got an open door here. Love to show off what we're doing. It's revolutionizing this industry. Minimums have been such a killer in this industry. There's literally a truckload of textiles and garments that is either burned or gone to a landfill every second of every day around the world. So we think selling it first and then making one as you make that order is a better way to help the sustainability issue with what we're all dealing with here in the fashion world. So that's enough of the infomercial on OnPoint. You know where to find us. We are stoked today to have Daniella with us here. Daniella Platt, I first met at a trade show, I think in Los Angeles. Is that right, Daniella? And I heard her before I saw her. She's a self-acclaimed cheerleader, and I can assure you she is, and you'll see that happening here today. She is a kindred spirit and totally believes in what she preaches. She knows the industry inside and out. In fact, so much, she just debuted the #1 best-selling book, Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to be a Sales Rockstar, and a fashion startup playbook to guide people to better themselves. So just happen to have a copy here in the middle of the screen. I bet we could pull another 1 or 2 up as well. So how about that? How's that? That's a warm fuzzy right there, isn't it, Daniella?
Oh my gosh.
That is
you
awesome.
You guys can't see it, but you guys are neighbors and you're both holding it.
That is so cool. Well, we're thrilled to have her. We did a piece of this with the Nashville Fashion Week, had their digital labs and learning lab last month, and everything worked out. It was wonderful there, great reception. A lot of people were wanting to inquire and follow up afterwards with her, and so we thought we'll include her in our little live with Carla and David conversations here we got going. We've got to get coffee mugs made. That's the only thing missing from this. So I'd love to, Danielle, for those that don't know you, just a couple minutes to tell everybody what you're about.
Sure. I have so much gratitude, Carla and David, to you guys. You guys have given me such a fun runway to actually share my creativity and my art. I really have so much gratitude to you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So everyone, hello. That was so cool to see you guys hold up a book that I wrote. That's just remarkable. So I'm Daniella Platt. I'm Daniella Platt. My last name, Platt. Somebody said to me yesterday, Platt, like platinum, the very best. And I said, yeah. So I'll take it. So I'm the founder of Looking Good, Yeah, Yeah. It's a consultancy. And Looking Good, Yeah, Yeah is you as you are, which is everything that I believe in. You are looking good, you as you are. I'm a concept to market strategist. And what this means is I help people take their ideas from the boardroom or from the kitchen table into the world. The other thing that I do is I teach creatives how to sell. As David mentioned, I did just, in fact, write a book on it, The 10 Commandments, Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to be a Sales Rockstar and Fashion Startup Playbook. So the reason I even wrote the book is so I'm somebody with 20 years of background in the business of building brands, lifestyle brands for advertising agencies, as well as for fashion magazines. And I was consistently asked 2 questions. How did you open that door for sales? How did you just do that? And, oh, I have an idea for a clothing line. Can you help me bring it to the world? So I sat down one day and I said, you know what? After 20 years of working corporately, I want other people to be able to achieve their dreams. I I know how fast you can go when you have the information at your fingertips. If I gave you the tools and if I gave you the know-how, can you climb the ladder really quickly? I made a huge pivot in my life. I was working corporately, like I said, for 20 years. And then I had 2 babies. And suddenly my time, my mindset, everything completely shifted on me. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do things differently. So I sat down, I decided as a consultant, as a strategist, I'm going to write down what I know so I can help others like you, designers, creatives, achieve your sales and fashion successes. You know, anything you could do to help you navigate the industry and reach your potential. I'm your advocate. These are not secrets. They're here to empower you. I am here to help you grow. I'm here to help you grow. You know, this is like a key, and I've been using it as an analogy. I'm here to help you unlock your ideas. I'm here to help you grow in every way possible. And you know, you can unlock it for yourself if you want. There's workshops and there's a book, or I will link arms with you and we can unlock it together and, you know, help you guys get to the top of the castle. Ultimately, it's so you can achieve what you want to. And I'm super happy to be your guide in this wonderful, fun jungle. So thank you very much.
Top of the castle. I love that. I do want to circle back to the workshops and the book again here a little bit, but you know, you and I have ran into each other at various trade shows, industry events, and it's a very close and warm market. It's you hug people when you see people in the aisles of the trade shows. So you know, I'm a big talker. I love trade shows. I love the face-to-face. What do you do now? How do you evoke that same feeling, and how do you stand out in this kind of virtual world that we're having to live in right now?
It's really odd. I mean, I feel like I could see some people, like how many people are feeling like, I just want to hug you.
Yeah.
I feel that way all the time. So there are certain things that you could do. So it took me a few minutes. Here I am. And I thought, wow, we're talking about like, how do you be a sales rock star? And it's so much about hugging people and seeing people. How do you kind of take a step back? So there are certain things that we could do. And I kind of can just, I actually have a little PowerPoint of a list. But there's just like there's a few things that I think you can do. One thing that's really important is like, here we are on a Zoom call. I think it's really important that we all see each other. I think like, you know, I'm kind of looking around, I'm seeing people's faces, I'm seeing how people are sitting. I think that just seeing people is really important. I think that staying connected when you're apart, there's like little things you could do. You could send people gifts. You can automate your love. You could send people gift baskets. You could send people cards. You could use programs that actually help you with that. I think just reaching out and continuing to do so is really good. Going to networks like this, like I would love I think everybody here should meet each other. Like, you know, drop your information, whether it's your Instagram handle or your email. Everybody here has an idea and everybody here should take it to the world. We should see it and we should explore it. So I would love for everybody here just to connect, because I think that that's really important, as like we have to build a community, even though we are, you know, there's a storm and they say we're in different boats. We still want to connect. We want to see each other one-to-one. We want to connect. So I really encourage everybody, like, just, you know, share information. Let's get together in group formats, see each other, and build from there. And even ask silly questions. Like I would ask everybody right now, how do you make a grilled cheese sandwich? Just, it seems so silly, but like, who wants to answer that question? You know, how do you make a grilled cheese sandwich?
First, you open the refrigerator and get the cheese.
and the bread and the frying pan. So the point of the story is, one is you're going to be asking silly questions. And a silly question isn't so silly because chances are the person's actually going to be like, that was kind of funny. Why did you even ask me that? So now you're creating like a stickiness, a camaraderie. I'm relaxed. And you're just saying, I'm first going to go to the refrigerator, which tells me a little bit about you. It tells me, oh, you like details. Like you're going to then pick your cheese and then you're going to go get the frying pan. And you know, you're giving me specific details about the information that you need for me to convey a message to you. Other people might just say, oh, I just like get it from the refrigerator and pop it in the toaster and call it a day. Like that would tell me, oh, that person wants things like really fast. They're not really into the weeds. They're not really into the details. So if you can ask questions that are sort of like broad and stop people, and that'll get people to relax, you'll just be amazed at what people share back. And it seems really silly, but here we are in this virtual world, and random random silly questions actually will unbox a lot of information for you. So that is just, you know, definitely I encourage everybody. I don't even know if you guys are doing it because I'm not totally following the chat as I normally would. But yeah, I mean, I encourage everybody to mingle and share information and just take a look at what people are doing without any other pretenses other than just I'd love to see what you're doing. I love to see it. And I'm motivated always by creativity. So I want to see what everybody's doing. So show me.
That's awesome. I had a elementary school teacher, Miss Hancock, told me the only stupid question is the one you take home with you and didn't ask. So I'm always asking questions. And of course I still don't know a lot, but I'm continuing to try to do that. Let's talk about the book for just a minute. You've been around this industry for years. You know, what was the leading inspiration and why now?
You know, it's really nothing that I ever had plans. Have you guys ever done something that you just never thought you'd ever do? You're like, how did that happen? I actually say that about, I see it, Carla's text flying in. So here's the thing. I never planned on writing a book. I was working corporately. I was working with brands that fill your life. Probably you've heard of them. I worked with Hugo Boss. I worked with Visa, Alternative, brands that make you stretch like Lycra. I currently write for the Fashion Manuscript on women who innovate. Anybody who's a women innovator here, I'd love to feature you in my column. We can talk about that. So I'm working this corporate job, and then I had 2 babies, and I just decided things have to shift. My life has shifted. The whole concept of, you know, time and time management and where can you take yourself forward, all that sort of became this reality when I realized I was really limited on time. But 2 questions kept coming up. How do you have a clothing line, and how did you open up that door for sales? And sometimes you don't realize that you're doing something. It's just what you do. So for me, that it was what I do. I've been in the business of building brands for 20 years, and I just open doors, and I just manifest relationships. It's just so, I'm such a curious person that I'm able to talk to anybody about anything because that's just who I am. But I couldn't sit on these tools anymore, knowing that other people want them, other people need them. And I said, I'm going to do one thing at a time. And I said, I'm just going to write it down while I can. And it turned into a book. So that's what happened. And the book really, honestly, I mean, I know Lisa has a copy and Candy has a copy. The purpose is a little bit like a buffet. It's not going to serve everything. You're not going to want everything, but what you need is it has the potential to change your life and change your legacy. You know, maybe you need something in sourcing. Maybe you need something about sustainability. Maybe you need to figure out how do you get your brand started, or maybe you just need a magical sales script. It's all in here, and it could really change somebody's life. And that was my purpose. My purpose is always about gratitude and giving, and I want people to soar. So hopefully that answers your question about what was my impetus. It was never something that I really thought about. So the fact that it exists and I look at it and I see it on Amazon, my heart delights. But nothing delights it more than when I actually see people holding it and telling me that they're having impact from it. It's remarkable.
That's awesome. I think you had to get it out before you exploded. I think that's what it was. I've finally got to put all this on paper before I just explode. Well, part of the title is the 10 Commandments to be a sales rock star. So I'm put you on the spot and share what you would consider your top 3 of the 10 Commandments. They don't have to be in any order, but what you personally, and my top 3 may be different than your top 3, but what are your top 3 of the 10?
So I'm going to tell you guys, but can I actually just share it with you guys?
Absolutely.
Let me do a little share, because I think that
we're a virtual world now, so go virtual on us.
Does it show? Let's see if I click here. Okay, I can see you and I can see my screen, but not like that. Okay, there we go. You guys see my screen?
Beautiful.
Oh, and I see everyone too. So like I said, people were just asking me, hey, how did you do that? And I was like, sometimes I just didn't know necessarily how I opened up the doors for sales. But it was happening, and I decided I need to sort of figure out what is it that I do. And my dad used to walk around and say, the 10th commandment on Wall Street is when in doubt, make money. And I was like, what does that even mean? But it really means, like, whenever you get an opportunity, evaluate that opportunity and see, does it make sense for you? There is nothing wrong with taking an opportunity if it might not generate you revenue, but it puts you in the space of the right people. If it puts you in a place of exposure. But whatever you do when you're at the 10th commandment, when in doubt, make money, you have to ask for what you want. So that's how this all began. My dad would say this one point, and I'd say, well, what does that mean? When in doubt, make money. Whenever you're looking at something, think to yourself, what's the bottom line? Like, will it get me to where I want to be? If I put my pieces in a museum, will people see it, and will I get exposure? That could be enough for you. But when in doubt, how do you make decisions? That's what my dad thought. So to kind of reverse engineer the process, he didn't have steps 1 through 9. So I had to figure it out. And that's where the book, The 10 Commandments, comes into play. So I always think of sales as selling. Lately, I've been calling it, like, if you're going to have a meeting, I call it a little bit of like sales yoga, because you don't really know where people's headspace has been. So kind of like take a deep breath, stay calm, ask a lot of questions, ask how you make the grilled cheese sandwich. And then here's what I call, like, if you could see it, this is just my absolute, so this is commandment number 1. This is a piece of it, and it's on page 32. But this is just, if you're gonna actually meet somebody and you're gonna go through the whole process of sales yoga and meeting them, you also wanna be able to, like, know that you can get information back. So I always like to share, this is like the one script that I've used this hundreds of times and it always works. So here's how it goes. I know you're super busy and you get a lot of requests. This will only take 1 minute of your time, and I hope you find it of interest. Say something flattering about, like, oh, I really love what you guys are doing. I super admire it. So now introduce yourself, like, I'm Daniella Platt. Say something relevant, like, I write for a magazine and I think that your pieces would look really good in our column. Say something captivating, like, maybe you just launched a podcast. Make up something fabulous. Like, I just made a handbag last week, or just say anything you can that's absolutely fabulous about yourself, even if you just started. 1 or 2 specific sentences with a question that the recipient can answer quickly. Like, I know you have a retail store. I have a clothing line. I would just love if you could share 1 bite of information of what you would even consider to be relevant for your store. I totally understand you're really busy. 1 line, 1 bite of information, it will make my day. It will make me so happy. And that person just, like, loves this, and you always get a response because you're just asking for 30 seconds, no strings attached. You're gonna make their day, and you're not really selling. But yet you're opening the door to somebody incredible that you want to engage with. So I recommend everybody, you don't even have to write this down. It happens to be page 32 of the book. But everybody who's registered, if you like, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll email this script to everybody later. So this is like commandment number 1, the best door opener script I know. Will you guys try it and tell me how it works for you? You can't even hear me, but
that's awesome. Yeah.
So that's script number 1. And I really had to think about it because sometimes, you know, things come naturally to you, but I find that when I plug this format in, also you have to keep in mind who you're talking to as well. The other day I was talking to a retailer. So you always have to kind of frame your question around, you know, sales is solving a problem for somebody, or you're like creating something so fabulous for somebody. You're making somebody so happy. So you always sort of want to frame your question or your thought process around, you know, what is the pain that you're solving? What is it that you want to share with somebody that's just going to delight them with joy, or, you know, be in their framework. In the case of a retailer, they want people to stay and shop. They want people to play and purchase. So just whatever it is, when you're framing your question, just think of the person, think of the end user in mind. Try the script. The fact that they only have to answer 1 bite, hands down, try it. Can you guys tell me how it works for you? This is commandment number 1. It always works for me. So I implore everybody to try it. And you guys, yes, everybody shake your head. Yes, you'll try it. So that is number 1. And then this is number 2. So you ask for another one. Do you guys ever go out to eat and the menu is just so long and you have no idea what to buy? It works the same in sales. If you offer too many choices to people kind of lose out and they get really confused and they don't know where to go. And a confused buyer isn't somebody that's going to get intimate with you because they don't even know what your story is. So my advice to everybody is choices. Put packages together, whether it's, you know, everything in red or everything in blue. They're all the same price point. And then you could say, oh yeah, I'll take the red, or I'll take the blue. But I really believe that this is how people think. People can think A or B, so put packages together. And you could get really creative about this. And we could go into detail about this, because this is actually a very complex part where you could start to upsell and do all sorts of creative things with your offers. But at the very base level, just make offers for people. Make choices for people. So I always say, like, you can give this to, try this as a challenge. Like, this is sort of how people think. Like, how do you get your way for dinner? If I say to you, if I ask you, who should I ask? Karen or Candy, Lisa, David, Carla, who should I ask? What do you guys want for dinner?
Yeah, I don't know is the answer you get. I ask that of the family because I'm the cook in the house. All right, what's the game? Well, I don't know. I'm not hungry right now. Well, you will be at dinner time, and then you'll be wanting something.
And then what are you going to say? So the next question you're going to say is, well, do you want barbecue tonight or do you want sushi tonight? And once you give that choice, what happens? Like, dinner's planned for the whole week, right?
Yeah. And this may be my favorite one. It's no is not an option there when you're trying to make that sales call. It's would it be better for me to come by in the afternoons or in the mornings? What's better for you? It's not no, I don't want. It's pick one of what I offer.
Oh, absolutely. I actually have a whole chapter on no, which if anybody wants, we could do round 2 on no. But, you know, also it's funny you say no, because what is the word no means? No, not now, but it also means never ending opportunity. So anyway, that's the story. Always give people choices, because no is not the answer. You need to eat dinner. People are going to choose choice A, choice B. You could do it in various different ways, various different price points. You're going to be able to see people are going to be like, I want 4 of the red and 8 of the blue, but you're really centering people's mindsets. So that way you get your way for dinner too. I'll have sushi tonight and barbecue tomorrow, and Thursday we'll go for Thai food. And nobody goes to bed hungry, but at least you have a plan, and it works out much nicer.
I love it. I love it. So you've been doing this in the industry for over 20 years. What's the biggest change in just the last few years that you're starting to see and have noticed?
There's so many changes. I think that that's like the one answer that everybody's going to say when it comes to fashion. Fashion continuously evolves. It will never stay the same. What has changed is the rate of technology. And definitely people, with the whole millennials and everybody really caring about sustainability and purpose-driven brands, I feel like that's much more a conversation now than has ever been before. And I really try to encourage people to do that. I've also shifted from working from a publication and media to sort of being a consultant. So I'm seeing the struggles of emerging brands. I'm seeing emerging brands trying to figure out, how do they even begin? Where do they even start? How do they get noticed? How do they get exposure? And I'm seeing the explosion of social media marketing and influencer marketing, all different channels for people to get, I call it OPP, like other people's platforms. Like, how do you get out there in the world is sort of like this big challenge now that things are so splintered. I mean, this right now could be a TV show. This could be a talk show. We could have a show. So I'm seeing this just like rapid acceleration of all things digital, all things exposure, as well as like sustainability.
Yeah, sustainability. I think that's one of the key words that are prevalent the last few years. And I had a buyer for a large brand in LA that I was meeting with, who's been in the industry for over 40 years. And she said, I'm sick of hearing about sustainability. And it kind of shocked me briefly. And she completes her sentence. She goes, it means nothing until we start doing something about it. And it is a buzzword now. But you have to act on that buzzword, and you have to do some things about it, which is, that's one of the key things we did in building OPM, we think, is to help with the whole sustainable push out there. But you've got to become cognizant and a cognizant buyer of fashion. You've got to start with your, with yourself and what's in your closet to make it happen.
Yeah. So separately, like on a consumer level, I give a talk about how to dress like a VIP. And it's actually in a book called One Habit. And I one of the things that I encourage everybody, and I feel like everybody on this call, I know the few people on the call that I spoke to, like, I feel like this is really important. Know who you're wearing, know what you're wearing, pay attention to what you're wearing, because I look at clothing. I want to encourage people to look at clothing as friends in their closet that they're going to have for years and years to come. I feel really happy with the choices that I've made over the years, because when I look at my closet, it is all, I've done work for myself, and not everybody would agree, but I say all neutrals and red, white, and blue, because I work in the business of fashion, and I was just coming home with bags of stuff, and I was having a serious problem. There was the financial angle of it, of just too much stuff and money, but it wasn't even that. It was just, I was coming home and I still had nothing that worked. So I try to train and coach people that you don't want a lot of stuff. You want stuff that is going to make you a VIP. You want stuff that is going to make you magical. When you know the story of the designer who made your shirt, who made your dress, who made your shoes, who made your handbag, when you know that story, they become museum pieces, and your body is a museum. We get to curate it any way we like. And everybody loves a museum piece, and nobody will ever get rid of a museum piece. So that's my take. That's what I try to invoke on people. And that's my view of, like, sustainability, really loving the art of it.
Yeah. You mentioned social media, which, I mean, it's plays such a huge role these days, especially with new brands, new labels, trying to get out there and market. Such a big presence that we actually have a full-time photographer and videographer on staff at OnPoint Manufacturing, where we're constantly shooting images of our clients' pieces, going through the plant, going through the manufacturing process, finished goods, and then we give all that back to them as fodder to use on their various social media outlets that are out there. And in fact, I just hopped off a call before this with a client in Iceland who said, "Do y'all TikTok?" And she's about my age. And I said, "Well, most of ours is Instagram and Facebook." So she goes, "We're TikToking. We've decided to start TikToking." It was a comical conversation about, PR and her brand through any outlet that she can find out there. And she said, "We've got reels of info that we were using internally. And so they're starting to put them out on TikTok." So I guess anything is game. Give me your thoughts on social media and how it should or shouldn't be used.
I feel like Carla here, who's hiding out in the corner, is the social media queen. My thoughts on social media, people will tell you all sorts of things. I think the bottom line is showing up. That's what people will always, that's the learning curve that I always hear: show up, show up, show up. And the algorithm is impossible to beat, but if you show up and you offer value, people will continue to be your raving fans and follow you and engage with you. It's really good to have your own Facebook community, because then you know the people that you're serving and you could deliver the information that they want and that they need. And that way you're kind of targeted. It's really great if you can have an Instagram account and you do go live and things are living in your Instagram live account forever, and you could tag people so then people can continue to see it. It's really important just to maintain a presence. A lot of people will tell you how important it is to have a beautiful grid and how beautiful your artwork needs to be. I say get messy and go. If I thought every day, oh, my grid isn't beautiful enough, you would never hear my story. And my kids would still be at school, or I would forget to take them. So you kind of have to know yourself and know your own limitations and know what you can deliver, and also know your brand. I personally, for me, believe that I'm a consultant. I know the business of fashion and sales. And if I could deliver you valuable information and events that will help you grow, that's why you're coming to me. It's not for a gorgeous grid. But if you're an artist and you want to have that look and feel to your brand, definitely do it. But I say first and foremost, consistency of your message is important. Show up, be present, whether you feel it's once a day, once a week, at least once a week. Once a day is good. Some people will say 3 times a day, like a Fashion Nova might post 12 times a day. I don't think you need that. I think if you can get to 1 to 2 posts a week that have some type of like question, like, hey, do you guys like this? Or what would you guys like to see next? You're in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think too with tools like Instagram, because you can post in your feed 1 or 2 times a week or 2 or 3 times a week, but then you have stories where some of those little snippets of things you can kind of toss in there whenever you want, you know, and kind of keep that for the purposes of the algorithm, kind of keep that messaging going with stuff that maybe you don't want necessarily on your feed, but you do want to put it out to your followers in some way. Also just knowing your audience, right? So the audience on Facebook is going to be different than the audience who's engaged with Instagram, who's engaged with Twitter. TikTok's been an interesting one because that was pretty much the Snapchat, really like the young kids until the pandemic hit, and now like everyone's on TikTok. So that one has been kind of an interesting one. But now that Instagram has started Reels, Reels is basically TikTok for Instagram. So I think with Instagram having the shop feature now too pretty well integrated, it's really the best place to be for a brand right now.
Yeah, we've watched sales of garments with some of our clients where we're giving them back the images of their goods, you know, their pieces being manufactured and finished pieces, where they'll put it out there and post about it, and you see orders for that particular garment start to go up just through social media sales, which I think today for a brand, a new brand, a startup brand, or a small brand, you're at the best place you've ever been at it in history. I mean, you don't have to have Macy's in your life anymore, or the big brick and mortar stores. You don't have to give up 55% of your margin to a brick and mortar store. Social media, I mean, how much stuff do we order online now? And that's where the trend is, and that's where it's going. You do a great job building a website. You put together something that's eye appealing, and that's what's going to drive your sales. And you're capturing all of your margin instead of giving up half of it and then waiting on a bulk return from a brick and mortar store when they decided they didn't have room for your stuff anymore. So it is just, I think, an exciting time to be launching a new brand right now for certain.
I want to speak also just in terms of like building your tribe. And maybe Carla, you could speak like hashtags or something that always, like, I'm not an expert on hashtags, but in terms of building your tribe, because you want your numbers to go up, it's really good to form like alliances with other like-minded brands. So you could go live together, and then you could kind of cross-pollinate your audience. So if you find somebody, like if you have a shirt and they have pants, and I'm just making this up, but if you have a shirt and they have pants and you do a live together and you could kind of crisscross audiences and showcase what you have, that's kind of a nice way to grow. And again, I didn't call it OPP, but other people's platforms. But also now everybody's being online. I'm seeing so many pop-up shops and so many pop-up stores, and you could have your collection drop ship through a store. So it's just other ways for you to grow your audience and grow your base. And like David said, it is remarkable. You do not need to be validated by a major department store in order to take your idea into the world. You yourself can totally do it and showcase your art and your design and create your own raving fans and your own following. Just be a little creative about it. Absolutely.
And be a sales rock star.
And be a sales rock star.
Talk about your, let's talk real briefly before we run out of time about your seminars and workshops that you do, your workshops, I guess, that you do.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Oops, I just lost you. Are you there?
Yep. Gotcha.
Click the screen. I clicked the button. Okay, let me share my screen really quick.
We see you. We hear you.
You see me? Did you see my screen?
I see your screen.
You see my screen? Okay, so I am going to. It's funny. I actually pulled this quote, Rockstar, because I think we use it a lot, and I just kind of think it's interesting. Like we rock. Like Rockstar is literally like what sales is. We're massaging things into place. I'm rocking and I'm talking to you. Like I'm trying to get things into place. And that's like, and the star is shining bright. So that is like the perfect way to say Rockstar. So to answer your question, I didn't even get into this. The biggest deal now. Can I just take a minute? You guys, I'm going to send this to you. These are 10 tips to rock a Zoom meeting. 10 tips like, you know, if you want to look like the richest girl in the room, create the fanciest background you can, or, you know, or make it look like your showroom. I have a whole list of tips here. We could do it for another time. I will get into my workshops right now. So I'm Daniella Platt, like you guys know, and they're pre-recorded 5 workshops. So they're pre-recorded 5 workshops, plus I have the book. They are normally $4.99. I have them on sale. It's 75% off for you guys. And I'm also going to throw in a consultation for everybody who's on this chat. So I hope you can join. I could send you the link to get them. So that is the pre-recorded workshops. I offer boot camps in sales as well as fashion. And lately I've been finding, and there's some people here I'm so excited to go on the journey with. Lately I've been finding that everybody's in a different space on their journey, plus everybody's time schedule is different. So I have the boot camps, but I really enjoy hearing what your big idea is and going one-on-one with you and taking you on a 12-week journey from where you are today, from your idea, from whether it's the boardroom, the kitchen table, into the world, and partnering with you and taking you forward. And that is really working with you as you know, your partner to, you know, to really like help you unlock that idea from your mind. And my daughter perfectly left her rocket ship here. So I'll just say, you know, take your idea, you know, to the moon and back. But I really like to work one-on-one with you guys. I want to hear, what is your big idea? How can I will work with you on crafting a complete roadmap to market. I recommend and refer OnPoint all the time because I truly believe in the message of on-demand and sustainability. In fact, he has a quote in my book too, because you can't make a half a dress. That's what I do. Yeah, totally. That's what I do. Is there any, and if there's anybody here that wants to set up like a, you know, a 10-minute consultation, I'd be delighted to do that. I think everybody's handles in here, but if you want like a 10-minute consultation just to kind of chit chat, I want to hear what your idea is. Creativity is what drives me. And I know that my skill set is taking you guys to the world. So that is my greatest passion. I'd be delighted and honored to do that with you. And I'm happy to send you guys, we didn't get into it, but I have the, you know, 10 ways you could rock a Zoom meeting, you know, now that we're in this virtual world. And I'll send you guys, if anybody wants, the script to open unbelievable doors.
That is, that's awesome. And wow, what an offering. It is a TV commercial now. Call us now. The first 10 people to reach in, get Danielle's special offer. Okay, just kidding on that. She'll probably give it to all of you that are in here today. Kind of wrap this up. Carla, any questions from the field while we've got this best-selling author in front of us?
We don't have any questions in the chat, but thanks to everyone who has dropped their handle in there. I'm saving this chat as well so we can share that around afterwards. But if you've got a question, please just unmute yourself and ask away.
Or is there anyone wants to share what they're up to?
It's the shyest audience we've had yet. Well, hey, you've got Daniella's information. You know how to get a hold of her. You can go to Amazon or your local bookstore and pick up that book that I should have my copy here holding up today, and reach out to her and see what she can do. Follow us on all of our different OnPoint manufacturing handles out there, and look for us next month. We'll announce the guest, I guess, a week or two before October's Live with Carla and David. Is that right, Carla?
That's right. October 21st.
Awesome. Daniella, I can't thank you enough for sharing your wealth of knowledge in sales and this industry as well. And I hope some of you strike the gold mine between the two of you there as things start to move forward.
We have one quick question. How much is your book?
How much is my book?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I think Amazon, well, do you want print, Kindle?
Both.
It is free. The Kindle edition is free if you actually take the workshops. So I will give it to you free for the workshops.
And then is it around like $20 on Instagram?
Yeah.
Or on Amazon, or
Amazon.
25?
It's like $26.99. It's $26.99, I believe. And then I think their Kindle edition, they play with it. So it's like under $5.
Yeah. That is awesome.
I definitely believe that it pays for itself in 1 minute. Yeah, I know. The truth is it's been a learning curve. I don't really it's not really like it's more of a showcase piece because I want to help people activate and achieve their dreams. I have yet to see any money from Amazon come through outside of like maybe a swap for some kids' toys. But I really just, I want you guys to have the information and the tools, but more importantly, I want to be able to lock hands and partner and go forward. But definitely get the book. Who asked that question? Ruti. Definitely go get the book and let me know what questions you have.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining. Carla, any last parting words? What's the date for the next one?
That's it. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. I will send out this recording to you later on this afternoon, and we'll probably upload it into Facebook as well and YouTube. And our next date is Wednesday, October 21st.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the week. Daniella, thank you.
Thanks, Daniella.
Thanks, David. This is fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Carla. Thank you, guys. Bye, everyone.